Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Greg Sloop, and it's time for Live at 5 on this Sunday, October 6th, 2024. Hope you're having an absolutely amazing day. It's a beautiful day here in Carolina, at least in the Piedmont. Not sure what they're facing up in the mountains still, but we are hoping for a great day for our mountain friends as well. The hurricane did such a number on them, and I'm thankful that we are able to give some help. As a matter of fact, we're still collecting for our third trip up to the mountains, which will be either Monday or Tuesday this week. Looking forward to taking up some more food items, some well needed clothing for the cold weather that's about to come up. And we're thankful to be able to help our brothers and sisters up in the mountains in the general Asheville area. Um, if you have some items that you could share, we'd love to have you help us supply the needs for those that are really struggling up in the mountains. So please, if you want to, we'll be collecting Monday until noon and perhaps Tuesday morning. If you don't make it before our next trip, we'll be doing another trip later in the week as well. So thank you for those of you who have already helped us and those that are going to be helping us in the near future. You are a blessing and a help to folks that are really in need. Today, we're looking at the Old Testament stories and passages that are quite well known or else very prominent. Today, we're looking at a passage called the Feast of Tabernacles. This is a discussion of something that's really interesting. It happens in usually the fall of the year. I know we were in Israel last year about this time. As a matter of fact, we went in on the 7th and on the 8th, the war broke out, and they were observing tabernacles as well, Feast of Tabernacles. It was a interesting time. They lived in tents or enclosures. Let's just read what the passage says, and you'll know a little bit more about the Feast of Tabernacles. This is Leviticus chapter 23, starting in verse 33. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of the seventh month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days to the Lord. On the first day there shall be a holy convocation. You shall do no customary work on it. Now, as you've been listening to each of these feasts, there was at least one day in each of these feasts where there was no work to be done. You shall do no customary work on it. For 7 days you shall offer an offering made by fire to the Lord. On the eighth day you shall have a holy convocation, and you shall make an offering made by fire to the Lord. It is a sacred assembly or a solemn assembly, and you shall do no customary work on it. These are the feasts of the Lord, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to offer an offering made by fire to the Lord, a burnt offering and a grain offering, a sacrifice and drink offerings, everything on its day, besides the Sabbaths of the Lord, besides your gifts, besides all your vows, and besides all your freewill offerings which you shall give to the Lord. Um, Also on the 15th day of the seventh month, when you have gathered in the fruit of the land, you shall keep the feast of the Lord for 7 days. On the first day there shall be a Sabbath rest, and on the eighth day a Sabbath rest. And you shall take for yourselves on the first day the fruit of beautiful trees, or the foliage, branches of palm trees, the boughs or boughs of leafy trees, and the willows of the brook. And you shall rejoice before the Lord your God for 7 days. You shall keep it as a feast to the Lord for 7 days in the year. It shall be a statute forever in your generations. You shall celebrate it in the seventh month. You shall dwell. Here's the part that's interesting. You shall dwell in booths or tabernacles or shelters made of boughs, made of branches for 7 days. All who are native Israelites shall dwell in booths, that your generations may know that I made the children of Israel dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. So Moses declared to the children of Israel the feast of the Lord. Now, this Feast of Tabernacles, or this Feast of Booths, it says that they should dwell in these for 7 days. They had a a solemn Sabbath day on the first day of the feast, and on the eighth day of the feast, they had a Sabbath. So in between there were days, 2 through 7, where they could live in these booths. And they had to live in these booths. Why? It's to remind them of how their ancestors traveled through the wilderness, living in tents or booths or shelters for the many days that they lived in the wilderness. They were a nomadic people. For 40 years, they were nomads. Really, for 45 years, because you got to consider 5 years before they were destined to walk in the wilderness for 40 years till that generation died off because of their lack of faith. They were on their way from Egypt to Canaan, the land of promise. They did this as a remembrance. Many of these things are as a remembrance. The Passover was to commemorate and remember the night when the death angel passed over all the Israelites who had the blood applied to the lintels and the doorposts of their living quarters. Then you have other that talk about the feast of weeks, and then the feast where you offer up thanks for the harvest that has come in. You have the Day of Atonement, the Feast of Trumpets, which is probably something that I don't really understand that much, except the harvest being connected to it. Then you have the Feast of Weeks. You have the Feast of First Fruits, which is when your first harvest comes in. The Passover, all of these things that they had for a reason. They were to remind them of things that had happened in the past, and they were also to mark special days in the calendar, in the regular calendar of the Jewish people. So all of this was for a reason. It was to commemorate and it was to celebrate. To commemorate and to celebrate. The festivals, the feasts were to commemorate and to celebrate. And 2 days in this last feast, and several other times in the feast, you hear them speaking of the Sabbaths, the holy convocations, the solemn assemblies. They were also meant to revere the Lord and to worship God for the good things he had done in the lives of the people of Israel. So there you have it. That's the word for today. We'll go on to another subject tomorrow. We won't have any more of the feast to look at this week, but I hope this has been interesting to you, and we will pick back up with some other well-known stories and passages, and we will be able to understand a little bit more about how the Jewish people's life and their festivals and their commemorations have some correlation to what's happening in our lives today and in the New Testament church. It's an interesting thing, and I hope it's a blessing to you. Thank you for all of you who are with us. I see Diana Cage. I see Sharon Noblet. I see Mr. Taba or Take. I can't see Taha. That's it. Richard Britt, good to see you, my friend. Ken Woodard. Hope you enjoyed lunch today. Kathleen Palace, Jean Goodman. Thank you for all of you who are on here, and whatever time of day others of you watch, morning, noon, or night, it does not matter to me. I'm always thankful for you, and it's an honor to be able to bring you this short Bible study in every day, Sunday through Friday. So take some time to be with the Lord every day in the Word of God and prayer. It's the best thing you'll do all day, and it can absolutely change your day for the better. Please know we're praying for you, and I hope